Ferrari didn't upgrade for 2026. They rewired the entire logic of the car, and the most dangerous part is how quietly it happened. And if you're wondering why rivals suddenly sound tense when they mention the SF26, it's because Ferrari may have found a gain you can't copy with a new front wing. So what's the real story here? Is this finally the kind of Ferrari step that changes a title fight? Or is it one of those looks genius in testing, bites you in June moves? Here's the part that most fans missed. The 2026 rules don't just change speed, they change where performance comes from. We're going into a season where energy management, active aero, and tight packaging matter like never before, and Ferrari built SF26 around that reality from day one. Now ask yourself this. When the rulebook forces everyone to compromise, who wins? The team that compromises least. And that's exactly why this Hamilton upgrade story has people nervous, because it's not really about one shiny part. It's about Ferrari choosing a philosophy that either unlocks the new era or exposes them brutally. Do you think 2026 rewards bravery or punishes it? Because according to the reporting around Ferrari's build, the SF26 is a clean sheet concept with tighter chassis, power unit integration, built around efficiency, energy strategy, and development flexibility. That sounds like corporate PR until you translate it into real-world F1. They're trying to make the car live in a good window more often. And in 2026, that window is everything. How many times have we seen fast but peaky cars lose championships? How many times have we seen Mercedes win because their bad days were still podium days? Now here's the twist. The GPF fans piece frames this as a genius upgrade tied to an internal Ferrari rethink. Reports and Paddock talk about manufacturing/material choices and packaging approaches that could reduce weight, manage heat better, and free up aerodynamic shapes. But it's important to be honest, a lot of the juiciest detail floating around right now is exactly that, reporting and speculation, not a Ferrari press release. So what can we say confidently? We can say the direction makes sense because 2026 forces everyone into a new puzzle, more electrical emphasis, bigger energy management demands, and new aerodynamic frameworks that make clean airflow and smart cooling a performance weapon. Do you think the next dominant team will be the one with the best downforce, or the one that spends energy the smartest? And that's where Hamilton matters. Not because he magically adds horsepower, but because he's lived through multiple regulation eras, and he's already warned this might be the biggest challenge of his career, pointing directly at how complex the new cars are to understand and drive. That's not hype. That's a 7-time champion basically saying, this isn't normal. So when you hear Hamilton's 2026 Ferrari upgrade, don't picture a bolt-on part. Picture a Ferrari that's trying to win the new era by being the first team to truly master the trade. Cooling versus drag, deployment versus recharge, active aero versus stability. Now let's talk about the thing that makes rivals uncomfortable, the copy problem. If Ferrari's gains come from packaging, heat management, and manufacturing choices, things baked into the architecture, then even if Mercedes or Red Bull spot it, they can't just bring it in 3 races. Does that scare you more than a big rear wing upgrade? Because it should, and it also explains why early comments around SF26 have this theme: cautious optimism, heavy emphasis on learning, and a reminder that 2026 is so different that the usual assumptions don't hold. Now the most important part of the story is what no thumbnail says out loud. 2026 will punish the wrong development path early. If Ferrari guessed right, the SF26 could start the year in a healthier window while others scramble. If Ferrari guessed wrong, the SF26 becomes clever but compromised, and then Hamilton's adaptation challenge becomes even louder. Be honest, if Ferrari starts strong, who panics first? Mercedes or Red Bull? Because here's the pressure, even Hamilton's own testing comments have hinted at the need for dry running to really understand things like battery use and operating characteristics. And that's the scary part. If Ferrari look calm while still saying we need more understanding, imagine what they're seeing in the data. Do you think rivals are reading Ferrari's lap time or Ferrari's confidence? Now keep this locked in your head as we move forward. The 2026 era is about systems, not just speed. And Ferrari built SF26 to make those systems work together. And if that's true, then the so-called upgrade isn't one change. It's the blueprint. One more question before we go deeper. If Ferrari finally built the right foundation, is Lewis Hamilton about to look reborn? Or is this the moment Charles Leclerc becomes the sharper weapon in a new era? Because the next layer of this story isn't technical, it's political. And it's about who Ferrari is really building around when everything resets. Smart fans, subscribe. Here's what nobody is talking about loud enough. Every team says we're focusing on reliability and learning in testing, until the moment a rival quietly finds a performance lever that forces you to change your entire plan. And Ferrari's SF26 conversation is starting to sound exactly like that. So what is the upgrade actually doing, in plain language? It's aiming to make Ferrari efficient in 3 ways at once: aerodynamically, thermally, and electrically. Can a team really win on efficiency in Formula One? Yes, and we've literally watched it happen. Think of the dominant eras. The winning teams weren't just fast, they were fast in a way that was sustainable, repeatable, and adaptable across tracks. And 2026 is built to punish the opposite. Now let's address the viral rumor layer carefully. Some reporting has mentioned Ferrari exploring bold material/manufacturing approaches in the power unit side of the project. Details like cylinder head design choices, heat resistance, and packaging benefits get thrown around in technical circles. But here's the key point: even if you ignore the rumors, the whole paddock understands that heat and energy are the new battlefield. Do you think the biggest 2026 advantage will be downforce or battery deployment? Because Ferrari themselves have framed 2026 as a strategic shift in energy management. That's coming straight from coverage of the SF26 unveiling and senior Ferrari voices describing the new emphasis. And once you accept that, Hamilton's role becomes clearer. This is a season where the drivers feel timing and decision-making might matter more, not less, because the systems are more complex and the margins can swing on how you operate them. So now the story becomes uncomfortable for rival fans. What if Ferrari's upgrade isn't a part? It's that they understood the assignment earlier. What if other teams brought safe solutions to Barcelona while Ferrari already built their car around the new priorities? Is that genius, or just finally doing homework? And here's where the politics creep in. Ferrari entering this era with Hamilton is not just a driver move, it's a statement to the grid and to the FIA that Ferrari expects to be relevant in every debate that matters. And there are debates. The Guardian reporting points to concerns raised by Ferrari, Audi and Honda with the FIA about potential power unit loopholes, specifically around thermal expansion concepts, because any edge there could translate into meaningful lap time. Read that again. Multiple manufacturers are already watching each other like hawks before the season even begins. Do you think 2026 will be won more in the factory or in meetings? Because the reality is, if Ferrari believe rivals found a loophole, Ferrari will fight it. And if Ferrari found their own clever interpretation, rivals will try to stop it. This is where SF26 becomes bigger than Ferrari. It becomes a pressure tool. Now zoom in on Hamilton specifically. He's already described the 2026 challenge as massive and talked about being involved in development, calling the process complex. That matters because Hamilton's strength has always been when the sport gets weird, he adapts, especially when the car behaves consistently and the team executes cleanly. But here's the problem no Hamilton fan wants to say out loud. New era resets don't reward reputation. They reward who learns fastest. And Ferrari's biggest historic weakness wasn't always speed. It was execution under pressure. Can Ferrari stay calm when the first controversial system issue hits? Can Ferrari avoid the "we'll fix it next weekend" spiral? Because the moment rivals smell vulnerability, they'll attack. Not with tweets, with development. And if Ferrari built SF26 around a tight concept, any forced redesign becomes expensive in time and performance. Do you prefer an extreme concept or an adaptable one? Now here's a sneaky detail that makes this scarier. Hamilton's testing remarks, as covered in Spanish, highlight that getting laps and data matters, and that the 2026 regulation change is the biggest he's experienced since 2007, implying the learning curve is real for everyone. So if Ferrari look decent early, what happens when they truly understand it? That's the threat rivals are reacting to, and that's why you're seeing the narrative. Ferrari upgrade explained, rivals concerned. Because concern isn't about one weekend, it's about trajectory. Be honest, who has the scarier trajectory right now? Ferrari or Red Bull? Now we hit the part where comment sections explode, so let's do it properly. If you were running Mercedes and Ferrari show an early efficiency edge, do you copy it or do you double down on your own path? Pick one. No hedging. Because 2026 will punish fence sitting. And here's the punchline. If Ferrari's blueprint is right, it could make Lewis Hamilton look ready in a way that flips the pecking order early. Because Hamilton's biggest strength is building momentum when he believes the foundation is real. But if it's wrong, it could make him look uncomfortable. Because an unstable, complex car is where even legends lose time. Is 2026 about talent or comfort? If you're still here, you're not a casual fan. Stay sharp, subscribe, and drop your prediction. Does SF26 start 2026 as the smartest car or the most overhyped one? Because the final layer of this story isn't about an upgrade. It's about the moment Ferrari forces everyone else to admit the new era has already shifted. Let's say the scary version is true. Let's say Ferrari didn't just bring a new car. They brought a new standard for what 2026 performance looks like. Then this isn't Ferrari might win races. This is the grid might have to redesign their priorities in real time. And that's where the consequences get brutal. Because early in regulation cycles, the teams that start wrong often spend months clawing back. Not because they're dumb, but because the architecture is already locked in. Does that sound familiar? It should. We've watched it happen in multiple eras. Now here's the payoff. Why are rivals concerned specifically with Ferrari's upgrade storyline? Because the most valuable gains in 2026 aren't the ones you see in a photograph. They're the ones hidden in efficiency, how much drag you carry for cooling, how stable the platform is when active aero modes shift, how predictably you can deploy and harvest energy. That's why Ferrari's own public framing matters. They're not selling SF26 as we nailed down force. They're talking about efficiency and energy strategy, because that's the true battleground. Now think about the human consequences. If Ferrari starts strong, the pressure on Red Bull and Mercedes becomes immediate. Not we'll catch them by summer. It becomes do we have the wrong concept? And that pressure creates political decisions. Do you accelerate upgrades, burn budget, change leadership responsibilities, push drivers harder? Who cracks first under a full reset, teams or drivers? Because drivers feel it instantly. When a new era starts, you can hide behind excuses for 2 races. After that, you either have the platform or you don't. And Hamilton has already hinted at the scale of challenge, emphasizing learning, data, and how big the change is. That's not fear. That's the voice of someone who knows. If we get this right, it's a dynasty. If we get it wrong, it's pain. Now here's the twist that makes this whole story more dangerous for the grid. Ferrari don't need to be perfect on day one. They just need to be right about the direction. Because if you're right about the direction, you improve faster. Do you know what that does to everyone else? It forces them into reactive development. Reactive development is expensive. It's messy. It makes you chase symptoms instead of causes. And once you're reacting, the team that's leading gets to dictate the tempo. That's what Red Bull has done to the sport in dominant years, and Ferrari is trying to take that weapon. Now, you want the uncomfortable comparison? The moment Ferrari look like they've mastered energy and stability, the Ferrari strategy memes stop being funny. Because suddenly the sport has to treat them like a machine again. Is that what you're ready for? Because a ruthless Ferrari changes everything. It changes how Mercedes races. It changes how Red Bull develops. It changes how McLaren is perceived. And it changes the driver market politics too. Because if Hamilton looks competitive early, it revalidates every major Ferrari choice and puts pressure on every rival driver to prove they can adapt at the same speed. Now let's give you the reality check, because smart viewers don't fall for easy narratives. There are still reasons to be cautious. 1. 2026 is complex. Even Hamilton is saying that. 2. Early testing is not the season. 3. Any genius upgrade talk can be partly hype, especially when the juiciest specifics are coming through reporting and paddock whispers rather than Ferrari publishing diagrams. So here's the real question you should be asking. If Ferrari's approach is correct, what is the first sign we'll see on track? Not a fastest lap, not even pole. The first sign is something subtler, Ferrari being quick on different run plans, looking stable when others look nervous, and Hamilton talking less about finding balance and more about fine-tuning. That's when you know. Because champions don't talk like they're surviving. They talk like they're shaping the season. Be honest, who do you trust most in a new era? Hamilton's experience or Red Bull's recent dominance? Drop it in the comments, and don't play safe. Now let's end this the right way. If Ferrari's SF26 blueprint is real, and if the upgrade is actually an architectural advantage, then 2026 isn't just a championship fight. It's a power shift. And the most terrifying part for rivals is simple. You can't out-upgrade a better blueprint quickly. You either guessed right, or you didn't. So here's your final cliff question. When the first race weekend arrives, and the numbers stop being rumours, who are we going to see sweating first? Ferrari or everyone else? Elite Timing, subscribe. Because the next video you need is the one that explains how 2026 energy rules will change overtaking, defending, and even driver style, and why some fast drivers are about to look strangely ordinary.